How's everybody doing? Chicago. All right, I don't know if I can top that last kid. He's got me beat by a mile. I want to mention Cobra Kai. Are you guys fans of Cobra Kai? Say yes. There you go. Cobra Kai's first season sits at 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. The first episode of season 1 was watched over 55 million times. And it was a 6th most searched for show on Google in 2018. So it's safe to say fans cannot wait for season 2, which launches April 24th on YouTube Premium. So let's say hello to the faces of the rivalry between Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai, the stars of The Karate Kid and Cobra Kai, William Zabka and Ralph Macchio. Wow.
What's up, everybody? I can't see anybody. I just see a lot of lights. Oh, wow. Hey, everybody.
A lot of lights, a lot of phones.
Those numbers are insane. I mean, this is the first they probably heard of it, but you guys are quite familiar with it. So was that, that's a 35-year-old franchise. Brought back nostalgia is one thing, but those numbers are something completely different. What was that like for you guys?
Well, we were, you know, we always talk about this. We felt that the audience was always there, but
Are you there?
Are you there? That's the audience. So, but the fact that they've come in droves and tell their friends and the word of mouth is built, and I think maybe some of the lower expectations, people are like, well, I don't know, what's this going to be? Are they going to pull it off? And unfortunately, our great writers and Billy kicking ass and me staying in.
Ralph kicking ass back.
We're here.
It's no surprise for me. I've been training for 35 years since the end of The Karate Kid for this show. So Ralph didn't see it coming, but I saw it coming a long time ago.
Yeah, no, listen, there was a little genie bottle, and I rubbed it, and then Billy came popping out saying, it's about time.
That's right.
Well, let me ask you, it's been 35 years. So when your characters in the original movie were basically the same age as your kids in the show, so what is that difference for success for you guys? Because you've kind of experienced the wave twice. What was it like then compared to now for you? What's changed?
It's totally different now. Then it was, you know, the Karate Kid was in theaters for, I don't know, 6 months, and it happened slow. There was no social media. There was no cable TV. So this is instant, you know. This thing came out, and we could watch the numbers on YouTube Red, YouTube Premium just going by. It was mind-blowing to see. And the interaction we have with the fans now we didn't have then. Like you guys didn't have Comic-Cons and things like that back then. So it's a completely different experience, but the same kind of spirit being the Karate Kid. And these kids are awesome, and they're, you know, we're kind of shepherding them into the Karate Kid franchise and being a part of the legacy, and they're carrying it and doing awesome. So for us, we're kind of like the old camp counselors, making sure they stay in check, and we're having a great time. Yeah,
I mean, listen, you mentioned the day, you know, the season 1 launch was May 2nd last year, and for those of you who don't know, April 24th of this year, season 2. Very excited. But it's you literally can log on to see the numbers growing. It's like, you know, you're expecting to see 20,000, you know, we're feeling it, and all of a sudden it's hundreds of thousands, millions, and it's just like, wow. You know, it's just a big, fat, nostalgic embrace from the fans. And the coolest part, when you mention the kids, is that we're bringing a whole younger generation and telling a story, and the younger characters in Cobra Kai they're compelling stories. I mean, it's, you know, it's anchored with Johnny and Daniel and the rivalry there, but there's a lot more to it, and that's been some of the most rewarding responses, is how, you know, all ages could lock into the show.
Have you guys noticed that I'm one of them? I'm one of the ones that originally inspired to take karate back in 19...
You look confused, though. What side are you on?
I'm
oh, I see. All right.
everywhere, and it flips.
He's got both. It's all good.
So you took... yeah.
There you go.
That's good. That's probably the perfect
Whichever way,
balance right
That's
there.
perfect. I think you
Very
leave it
yin
like
and
that for
yang.
the rest.
I just want to make you guys comfortable.
So you study karate after Karate Kid?
I did. So what is it like knowing you guys inspired a whole new generation of people to take on martial arts?
We just wish we invested in karate dojo.
Right? It's awesome. You know, we do conventions, martial arts show in Vegas. I did this year. We introduced it. Marty Cove, who plays Sensei Crease, and I went there. There's a room like this, maybe even more, of over a couple thousand senseis that were, you know, the top teachers, instructors from around the world that were coming to hear all these great seminars from these great martial artists. And they were all kids that grew up on the film, you know, and it's overwhelming and awesome. You know, we were kind of like the first. I always say, like, we were the first of that breed, because we had Pat Johnson, who trained us for the Karate Kid. Ralph and I didn't know any karate. We get in the dojo. They're teaching us for 3 months. You know, we perform it as actors, and then that kind of became contagious, and everybody benefited from that. So it really comes from Pat Johnson and from, you know, Robert Kamen, who wrote the Karate Kid and all the values in that, and Miyagi, all that. So we're kind of like the first end of that ripple. We benefited too. We didn't come in as black belts. Ralph may have. Did you come in as a black belt?
Well, I was just trying to.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Yeah, I mean, it just, you know, and also another thing I always mention about the Karate Kid film that some people don't know, it was the first studio, you know, made feature film that ever dealt with the Japanese internment camps during World War II. And you know, I remember Pat Morita, the late, great Pat Morita, who would,
Let's give it up for Pat Morita.
Yeah, we all know we're not sitting here right now without the work he did. But it's, you know, it's important to mention those things. You mentioned the first mainstream film was karate, and it was accessible to all ages, kind of thing. But it also had those elements on American history that had never been dealt with before. So that's why this film, which is an 80s movie by some standards, has a lot more to it, and it's witnessed by the embrace of Cobra Kai and how you could dive deeper into these stories and characters.
And at the end of season 1, spoiler alert, you get to go back to Mr. Miyagi's house. What was that like for you personally?
That was incredible. I mean, it wasn't, it's a big part of season 2. I can't tease too much, but there, you know, at the end of season 1, he says, you know, welcome to Miyagi-Do Karate, and, you know, you get a sense that Daniel LaRusso is going to go back and fill that void in his life and try to carry out that legacy. And in the teaser, you get to see that as well. So I'm not giving anything away. But it was quite emotional, you know. It was a lot of the magic in that original film happened with Pat Morita on that location. It wasn't the same exact location, but you know, except now I'm the old guy trying to teach the kids. So it's a real flip. I got emotional. I don't know if because I was back in Miyagi's house or more that, oh, I'm the old guy now. So there's a combination of the two. But all great stuff, and it's fantastic to carry on that legacy. But for LaRusso, it's not as easy as he thought it would be, that's for sure.
William, the end of season 1, you had a little conflict of conscience, I would say, at the end.
Did everybody see Cobra Kai? All right.
Yeah, they did.
Who didn't see Cobra Kai? I know there's one of you in here. All right. Spoiler, how old are you? 4? Good. Yeah, the end of Cobra Kai, there's definitely conflict. All around there's conflict, you know. There's my top student fighting my son, being trained by Daniel LaRusso. There's a lot of conflict just in that idea. And then, you know, right before the end of the tournament, Johnny has this very inspiring speech, you know, about going out and having no mercy, and that's the last secret he hasn't told them. And then he sees that unfold, and he's kind of witnessing it from this point of view, you know, and seeing that maybe it's not all good. So at the very end, even though he wins the tournament, they win, the Cobra Kai wins, you know, he's back in the office in the bottle. It wasn't really a victory, and honestly, it was kind of painful to play that. It was really, when we were shooting that, and Ralph and I walk out, he's like, "It's not over," and I'm like, you know, or I say it's not over, and you're whatever. You know, it was like, it was the same. Daniel LaRusso's gonna coach, all that. It brought me right back to the movie. I'm like, wait, I'm getting set up again, man. This is a big coup. They're gonna, you know. And it felt that way. It was very painful in a way to put the gi on, in an interesting way. Very fun too. But at the end, Crease walks in and sets a new tone, and he's back. And you'll see, coming to.
Oh, we're coming to Crease.
April 24th, yeah.
at the end of the season, you're basically, or this season, season 2, you're opening a competing dojo in many respects. You're training John's son. That's messed up, man. So
Yeah, it's
where do we see Daniel LaRusso in season 2?
well, I mean, he, you know, his theory at that point is more, at first it's about taking down Cobra Kai, from his perspective, not allowing the contamination of these young teenagers of the valley. He must, you know, not allow the dark side in, even though we've won. What I think he is really wanting to do is showing the students a better way, which is what Miyagi would probably do. Instead of combating what he might view as a negative form of martial arts, it's more about showing a better way. But when your better way is sanding floors, painting fences, and waxing cars, not so easy to get students, you know what I mean?
Especially today.
So there's some stumbling blocks for LaRusso and some wake-up calls. Just because you have knowledge of a subject doesn't necessarily mean you know how to teach it, and nor have the soulful magic or the magical soul that or human Yoda, Mr. Miyagi, had. So it is lots of stakes and hurdles to overcome, but and then what that may or may not put strain on his life, his family, his wife, his business, you know, going forward. So that's a little bit of a setup of what may be in store for Daniel at the start of season 2.
And then we've got Johnny, who, when I tell people who Johnny Lawrence is for the Cobra Kai, when I'm trying to sell him on the show, I always say it's Archie Bunker opened the dojo. And I'm kind of curious.
Archie Bunker with the dojo. That's good.
He's probably called me Meathead too, isn't it?
I'm sure. But he's rebuilt Cobra Kai successfully. We come to meet John Crease is back from the dead at the end of season 1, and I assume he's still around in season 2. So what can we expect from Johnny in season 2 of Cobra Kai?
From Johnny? Or
Yeah. From Johnny. We'll talk about Crease in a little
Well,
bit.
you know, it says it in Cobra Kai 1 with the episode Ralph and I did, different but same, and we're talking about our senseis, and I say, you know, it's crazy, we were both raised by karate masters, or you say we both bumped into karate masters, and I say, yeah, but yours didn't try to kill you. And sure enough, you know, and I say he was kind of like a father figure. So when Crease comes back into Johnny's life, it's his sensei, but it's also the closest thing he had to a father. So there's really like a second chance thing happening, maybe. And Crease is coming from left field. I'm not going to tell you anything about that. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. We had a great time.
Just side note, how do you guys kick ass in these things? Because they are hotter than hell.
They're hot, yeah, they're uncomfortable. It's right. You get a rash.
I'm starting to rethink the whole thing. So in the second season, how well do Daniel and Johnny get along?
Well.
This is as close as we're allowed to be.
This is it. And
there's
this
actually some glass between us.
Well, they had like a bromance going for a little bit, and then it got all messed up.
And episode, the episode Billy was mentioning, it was episode 9 of the first season. There was that time they went to a bar and had a few drinks, and all of a sudden, what's cool about the show and what our creators and the writers of the show do so well is the audience can see that Daniel and Johnny are probably not that far from the other side of the coin themselves, or that far from each other, but if they could only see through their own crap, they'd probably kind of get along. But that's not as fun. There are elements that you begin to think that they may be compatible, but it's oil and water.
If they were kids maybe and they didn't have the experiences they had, if they're like 6, they'd probably be friends.
But maybe, you know.
After the crane kick, stealing the girl, the whole stuff, everything we got in between each other.
Pushing them down a cliff. Don't get me started.
Yeah, kicking you down a cliff.
Throwing them into the wall.
He comes into the dojo ready to learn karate.
Roundhouse to the
Why
face.
did you come into the dojo? To come in and learn the karate to kick my butt? But I happen to be there, right? So, no.
So you guys make the choice, or you can maybe see.
You know, they get along, you know, I don't know. I think there might be a clip we have that might show that better.
We might have a little sneak peek, yeah?
Yeah, we could see it. I haven't seen this, so I have no idea.
There's a little sneak from season 2.
This is Johnny and Dan.
Let's
Johnny
see.
Lawrence and Dan.
Let's see how they're getting along.
Yeah, let's see. the middle of our scene.
Right. I don't know what that was about, but anyway, there's a little sneak peek.
That was a tease.
That was a tease.
All right, so Daniel LaRusso, I mean, he kind of does a few leg sweeps of his own, wouldn't you say, in season 1? So why do you think Johnny gives him this PTSD? I mean, is it him as a whole, or is it Cobra Kai as a concept?
I think it's, you know, I've spoken about this early on with the guys who created the show. I said, okay, why is this guy at this age, why is it such a big deal? He's got the good family, the financial security, you know, he's got great kids and a good business. But, you know, Cobra Kai, when you go back to what it was for him as a child, was such a, or as a teenager, was such a negative. I mean, he was beaten down pretty well more than a few times. Yeah, he might have pushed it a little bit here or there. We have to make it fun. But I think it's the concept of what his relationship with Miyagi all those decades went, you know, Miyagi passed, I guess, 8 years ago in our story. So up until that point, the concept of Cobra Kai has been gone. It's just a very dark, upsetting memory from his adolescence. So to see that back is just a thorn in his side. And then when, you know, he gives Johnny the benefit of the doubt when he first comes into the dealership, maybe ribs him a little bit, maybe says a few things that are probably not too cool, which creates a little bit of a gray area between the all good, nice LaRusso and maybe a guy that's not always perfectly nice, which is stuff that we love doing on the show. It then builds into, okay, what's going on? You beat up kids, so you're teaching kids the same stuff, and I went through that, and now my kid could be involved with this, and all of a sudden it just amps up. And we're also making an entertainment. You know, so you got to keep that. You got to keep that ball up in the air. The fans seem to love it, so that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, and Johnny keeps getting new cars out of it.
That's right. He got a new car. It was tough, but he got one.
That's right.
So you had a really hard job because it's. And I'm not saying this to sell you short. I mean, it's easy to love Daniel LaRusso. He's a nice guy. Johnny. He's had an edgy past, but then this came around, and by the end of season 1, everybody I know loves Johnny Lawrence, loves him. What do you think changed minds? I mean, what about that character is really winning people over?
That's a good question. Well, they built the story in a certain way. I mean, Daniel LaRusso was the underdog in The Karate Kid, so he came from New Jersey. He was on the wrong side of the tracks. Now Johnny's on the wrong side of the tracks. He has everything, so you flip that just perception of somebody who has everything and somebody who has nothing, and instantly you're going to gravitate to the person who has nothing because you live vicariously through that person. You want him to come out on top. So if I was the one in the hills with the nice dealership and he was in it, I think you'd probably feel differently about it. So it's kind of how it's crafted, really. You know, and then there's he's not, like you said, Archie Bunker. Was that you? Yeah, he's Archie Bunker with a karate dojo. You know, he's not PC, and I love that about the character. You know, Johnny, I love that he didn't have a cell phone and he doesn't have, you know, a computer, and he's still kind of stuck in a certain time. There's something refreshing, I think, about that.
What's a Facebook?
What's a Facebook? Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a modern day today, and Johnny doesn't live in that. And I think, you know, we're all sucked up in everything. It's internet and this and everything real time. Johnny's just kind of more simple, and he drinks his beer, and he just wants to be left alone. And he's had a rough time, and then he goes to help this kid, but he doesn't really help the kid. He steps up when the kid's thrown against his car, so he's really protecting his car. And in the process gets in a fight with all these kids, and by default becomes this kid's sensei, and and then this thing rolls and it kind of spins out of control, and now he's in Cobra Kai. And you know, when I had to do that first scene where I'm walking around saying, you know, fear does not exist in this dojo and all that stuff, it was kind of hard to do that, because I'm like, why is Johnny's repeating what Crease told him? So Johnny's a work in progress, as he was from the first movie. I always thought he's an ex-degenerate trying to make things work, and he's still trying to make things work. I think, you know, there's something about someone trying to make things work that you root for, you know. And this season you get a lot more of that out of LaRusso. So, you know, it flips back and forth. But it's nice because, you know, one thing I went into it saying, I don't want to do this if I'm being set up just to double down on being the biggest jerk of all time. I already have the title. I don't need to fight another round, you know? I mean, not really, but, you know, that's how people know my work. So I said, if we do something that's deep and fun and rich, and these guys are great writers, John, Josh, and Hayden, the creators of the show. They created Harold and Kumar franchise and Hot Tub Time Machine, and they're huge fans of the show, and they're really great writers. And so they came in with just the right mix to to serve us as actors, we're having a good time with, and you guys. So we're kind of all in this together, and it's pretty fun.
Ralph, Johnny makes a really good case. We've all seen the YouTube videos, but Johnny makes a really good case for his perspective in season 1 about the whole bullying, that really he's the victim. So are you buying that at all, as Ralph or the character?
Say this, wait, repeat
Are you buying that he was the victim in all of that?
that he was the victim?
You came along and took Allie.
Oh, right. The theory that the LaRusso was the bully and Johnny was just
He
wanted his
sells
girl
season
back.
1 when he's sitting down with Miguel. That's
I just want to
great
answer
scene.
that first before you say something, because if you think that's great about it is that you can look at it through any point of view.
That's what these guys did so
Yeah, what's
well.
great about Cobra Kai is you can take it and you can flip it this way, and everybody's right, and that's kind of like real life. Everybody's got their point of view, and we bang heads in the middle.
Yeah.
So there's, it's truthful. It's not like a feature film too, where it's 1, 2, 3 acts, and then boom, 2 hours later it's all resolved. We know who wins, we know who loses, and we feel good and go home. This is a long form show that's going to go on hopefully for many years, and right now we're just turning the page of really the beginning of the story. Even at the end of season 2, it's just a page turner. It's like the stage is set again for it to go into a whole new way.
Yeah,
So-
we're planning to keep you guys around
so
for a while.
perspective,
If you let
Johnny.
us. If you let
We
us.
hope so. So my perspective, real quick, and then I just, it's Johnny's perspective, and Daniel's his story. If he told his story, it's the same one. So there,
Right, and he's
from
been
his
telling-
point of view.
LaRusso, I'm sure, has told his story, and you can see that even in season 1 when his kid says, I say,
Telling
the
it to
mother-
Anoush right when I walk in the dealership.
Yeah, he's telling it to
Still
everybody. And it's kind of funny. There's some scene in episode 7 of season 1 when Randy Heller, who plays my mom, she played my mom in the movie, and she came back. She goes, yeah, those bullies, those Cobra Kai bullies, they remember when they pushed you down that hill, and the kid playing my son, he says, wait, I thought it was a cliff. So you could tell that LaRusso tells this story over and over, how he's bullied by Cobra Kai and Johnny Lawrence. The concept, one of the, alluding to a scene, which is just a terrific scene in season 1, where Johnny Lawrence is telling Miguel the truth about the LaRussos and why you can never trust them. And it's just brilliant. It's great writing. It's just perspective. Like that movie Creed, was a way to come in from the Apollo Creed's son and into the universe and world of where Rocky Balboa was and is now. That's sort of the same, it's similar in that way, how we enter this universe through Johnny Lawrence's eyes and what his experiences are. Do I buy it? Do I buy the fact that...
Of course he
that
buys it. It's the
LaRusso-
truth.
LaRusso is the bully? Because I blame it on the guy Freddie who invited him to the beach party.
Yeah, it's all Freddie's
It's
fault.
all Freddie's fault. But and who left him there as he got his ass kicked. But no, I don't think I don't think it holds water that at any point in this telling of the Karate Kid film that LaRusso was the bully. But it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to flip it a little bit. We're having a good time. Upstaged by Zap.
I didn't upstage you. Just looking at the lights.
Good.
They're
It's
so
just like that.
bright.
As long as you guys are having fun, we're loving it.
That's a fact.
William, talk about Martin Kove coming back as John Crease. John Crease.
Oh,
is
boy.
back. What's that mean for your character and well, to both of you, really?
Well, I can't. It's hard to talk about it at this end of it coming out. But John Crease is back, and the tone that he had when he stepped into the dojo. He's got he's a mixed bag, that guy. So he's got some surprises. It was great working with Martin Kove. We're dear friends, all of us are, and we've talked about doing something for years about something like this, and the fact that we're now on the set again, and he's Crease and I'm Johnny. And there's something that's cool that happens for all of us, the three of us especially. Yep. When we get into character, I mean, it's Billy and Ralph disappear, and Marty Kove disappears, and these other, Daniel, Johnny, and there's Crease, and it's very palpable. Is that a word? Palpable.
Yep.
How do you say that?
Sounds right.
Yeah, palpable.
Yeah, palpable.
You can feel it.
You
is what we're
feel
saying.
it. It's like it's really.
You can feel it.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of history. So there's it's really exciting. It was great working with him. You're gonna love him this season, and
Yeah, he throws. Crease. What we can say is he definitely throws a wrench into the plans for everybody. And because LaRusso thinks he's dead twice.
So does Johnny think he's dead?
And so does John. So him
So do we.
showing up, it really sets the world off its axis, which has already been a little bit off its axis for both of these guys. So it adds another element of complexities and depth and texture, and his And the other thing I could tease right now is that Marty Cove does a great job, and it's really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Talk a little bit about, here's one thing I think the show does really, really well, because it's 100% entertainment, but it really puts a depth into the concept of bullying and how it affects everyone. I mean, the PTSD I was talking about with your character, what your character's gone through because of the events. I mean, talk a little bit about addressing that in the show, because I was actually surprised that you guys take it on as head-on as you do quite frequently.
Yeah, listen, it was in the earliest pitch of the show from the writers to me, that's the first words out of Hayden Schlossberg's mouth was, he said, we want to explore and keep the through line and theme of bullying and the difference of bullying in the 1980s in a film like that versus dealing with bullying in 2018, at the time it was 2018, 2017, whatever, but now. And it was important to, not let go of any of those themes that are woven into the Karate Kid. It's just it's different perspectives, different times. Technology has changed that. I mean, as a parent, and we're both parents, your kid comes home, with a black eye, or you could tell that something might have happened. If you can deal with that. With today, it's more complicated, bullying and how covert and silent it is. So we're navigating through that in our storytelling, whether it's LaRusso, someone in LaRusso's family, or as one of his students at Cobra Kai dojo. So it's I think it's important because it's relevant at all time. It also everyone could relate to it at some point, whether it was when you were a kid or as a parent or as a adolescent now. It's important to continue to drive that engine in the storytelling, and also be entertaining, because that's the type of piece it is.
Good point. I was going to say exactly that.
Just smarter and far more intelligent.
There's something I would say real quick about bullying. There's a definition of bullying that it's that someone is making you feel less than who you are. And that can come in a number of ways. Physically, it come socially, it come online. And that's really, if somebody's making you feel less than who you are, and you're saying something mean even as a form of bullying, and I don't think Johnny's out to save these kids from being bullied, but he's definitely got the old school kind of, go out and, meet your enemy and no mercy and all that kind of thing. But there's definitely that in this show, is dealing with these kids that are been bullied and empowering them. And for me, in Johnny's point of view, he may be leading them down the wrong road. So there's something kind of neat in season 2 where Johnny's working his process out in front of these kids, and they're almost his experiments. And so he sends them down some wrong roads, and they get in trouble, and then he corrects, and then he tells them to do one thing, and let's not do that. I mean, Johnny's a work in progress himself with a Coors Banquet, so he's not, he's kind of a little Walter Matthau in the Bad News Bears trying to lead him to the championship, but he's still got to clean his own act up first. So Johnny's not out consciously trying to save these kids. He's really trying to save his own butt and make something for breakfast more than bologna, But it does touch on that, and the writers have a great way of weaving that in, and it's great, and it's great to see kids that have seen the show, that I've met a lot of them, Ralph has too, and especially after this season with Miyagi-Do, kids going and signing up for martial arts and finding a new kind of sense of security and purpose and sense of themselves, and that's awesome. Whatever, this is entertainment, it's a show, these are characters, but how it affects people in the real world, that's, to us, I think, the most rewarding thing.
Talk about working with the younger cast, because basically the students have become the masters in many respects, or they're getting there. And now you get to work with these guys in the same position you used to be in. What's that like for you two?
There was a scene in the season 1 when Robbie, played by Tanner Buchanan, that's Johnny Lawrence's son, comes into LaRusso's home dojo. And it was the first scene I was actually, he was walking in the room and asking me about kata, and I was like, wait, that's my line. Oh no, that was my line 30 years ago. And it was just really interesting that first time to sort of, I'm not the kid anymore, and that was the role I'm playing, and it was his own spin, and he really had his own take on his version of that character asking those questions. And now with this season, in season 2, there's more of that for LaRusso, just like with Johnny Lawrence and all his students. The great thing I can say, and Billy, you know, we both say this, these kids in this cast is so terrific. They work so hard, they kick butt, none of them knew karate. They're really working their butts off because they have a ton to do. Season 2 is loaded with some kick-ass stuff, I'm telling you. And they do not take for granted the opportunity that they have. They really take pride in the fact that they're the chosen ones to carry on the legacy of what was once the Karate Kid franchise and now Cobra Kai. So it's, we're blessed with some great young actors and compelling stories, which hopefully brings more and more of a younger generation to the show.
Talk about the stunt choreography. You can, William, you've done a lot. I mean, you look like you know what you're doing, and I think you do.
He does.
Thank you. It's all computer animation. Take my legs, I put no program.
Sir.
Like, how did my leg do that?
Well, talk about doing that. I mean, is it really, because you do know the martial arts, do you ever get involved and just say, I don't think you want?
Say that again.
I mean, do you ever get involved and say, that's not really how that goes?
No, but the kind of style that we were trained by Pat Johnson. I was trained, Pat Johnson is the referee in The Karate Kid, you know, the one that says, point. That's Pat Johnson. He trained both of us. And I learned the Korean style, Tong Sudo, and you learn Okinawan soft style, defensive style. So a lot of times we have a new great choreographer, Hito Koda and his wife Janelle, and they're unbelievable. But they're bringing a bunch of new stuff, different kind of stuff, some trick stuff and different stuff that's not the traditional straight karate. So they've thrown that at me, and it's cool. I love it, you know. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do that stuff, and you just gotta, you know, stay stretched out, and you know, that first in the first fight. Yeah, it wasn't too far from the truth.
What's the most difficult move for each of you to pull off on the show? Do you have one where you just...
Like karate move?
Yeah. Oh, a stumper.
Well, I'm just trying to think. Is certain kicks on the left side, there's a reason you haven't seen many of my left-sided kicks. But like, how can we shoot this? You know, I could do the roundhouse or the inside crescent, outside crescent, not so much. Inside, could pull it off. You know, there's different ones, and there's old groin and leg injuries from being 50 or whatever years old. That's, you know, so we navigate around my shortcomings. But he holds his own. It's kind of, I'm glad we got young kids on the show. But Billy kicks some big time ass, and I'm just trying to keep pace. It's good. It's good.
You got one?
Spinning heel kick was through. My calibration was all off. Like, I'd spin and the room got sideways, and it was just a matter of tuning it in and remembering it was over my shoulder. I never thrown a spinning heel kick, like a real wheel kick, in a long time. And that was in my training. All of a sudden, I'm having to throw them, and I couldn't hit the pad. And I'm like, wow, I'm all off. It was like just my calibration was off, my alignment was off. And then bit by bit, oh yeah, turn the foot this way, and that way, and look this way, and then it starts to come around. But it's all about, you know, what's that? Yeah, plant the foot. Will you show it to us, please?
Sir, no, sir. No.
Come on, everybody wants to see it.
No, that ain't happening.
I do it, but I have pants. I did a thing at an elementary school one time. I talked to these kids, and they asked me to do a kick. So I was wearing pants, and I threw a crescent kick, and I ripped my pants from here to here in front of like all these 3rd and 4th graders. I'm like, and that's the end of the show, guys. Please watch. That was the Karate Kid days. I was like back then. So
we are going to be doing a Q&A here in a couple minutes, so if you want to line up with your questions, please do so.
I have a question. Can I line up?
Yeah, you can line up. You know what? You can ask it right now if you want. You got the mic.
Right.
Without spoiling anything, can you guys tell us your favorite scene to shoot in season 2 that's coming up? Anything? Can't spoil anything, though.
Season 2. It's tough.
Without spoiling anything, that would be impossible.
It's a trick question.
Yeah, there are many scenes.
Yeah, because there are really some terrific ones, but it does need to be teed up with stories, so they'll get very mad at us. April 24th, it's all out there. 10 episodes.
Let's come back on the 25th, and we'll answer that question. Everybody be here on the 25th.
Just come back to this room.
Yeah.
We'll be here.
We'll be here.
What do your families think about the show and the resurgence? Your families, yeah.
Yeah.
What do they think about the resurgence?
We have both spoken about that. Billy's kids are a little younger than, well, a lot younger than mine, but my kids are in their 20s, so it's really, and I'm only 31, so I don't know how that's possible. But it's really a joy to sit and watch the show with them and see the pride they take in it, and it's something that was such a big part of my life now is present in their lives. It's pretty awesome. You know, but then they'll say, Dad, that facial expression, no more. Okay, get rid of that one. Doesn't work. You know, what were you thinking? But, you know, they keep me humble.
Believe it or not, my kids haven't even seen The Karate Kid. So, and they haven't seen Cobra Kai. Mine's 9 and 5. Not that they're not allowed to. Karate Kid, they're okay. Cobra Kai, not yet. But they were on the set. So they've been on the set. They know Ralph. In fact, Ralph is part of our family to them. and you know, he knows Marty. The kids know Marty. So when they get to watch it, you know, when they're ready. Yeah. Wow, we're getting some kind of crazy feedback here. What is that? Oh, is that Mike? Yeah. So, but they're very excited, and they love the idea of the show, and they'll see it when they're ready. But they have seen The Dog Who Saved Summer, where I play a talking German Shepherd, and How I Met Your Mother, where I played a clown. But they haven't seen me in a skeleton outfit beating up a kid against the fence, rolling a joint in the bathroom stall. Okay? And they're not going to see me drinking beer on the floor yet. Season 6, maybe when he cleans his act up a little bit, it'll be like, hey guys, if I was Ralph, my kids would be watching that from the time they were born. Here's your father. See what I did to that boy? It'd be great, you know.
I win constantly.
Yeah, yeah. Really, I'll tell you a funny story. I've told this before, but you guys didn't hear it. In my office, I have, you know, some headshots and shots that we sign at the table. It's the crane kick picture, and I was autographing some for some friends. And my son Micah was 6 at the time, and he saw him on the floor, and he decided to write his name on top of it, which I thought was funny. But he had never seen these pictures before. And I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm just signing it like you." He goes, "Dad?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Did you fight that boy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I go, and he goes, "Did you win?" I'm like, "No, not really." I go, "But I beat the guy before him, and 2 years before that, I was the champ." I go, "But this is just a movie. This isn't real life." So, you know, so it was kind of that day when we were playing toys, you know, like I'd always be the bad guy and let him beat me. So he's like, "So you were the bad guy?" And it was like, yeah, so we put Karate Kid on hold for a little while. Then he watched YouTube, he watched the Karate Kid trailer, and he told me about it on the way to school. He goes, "Dad, I watched the Karate Kid trailer." I'm like, "Oh yeah, what'd you think?" He goes, "Why were you beating that kid up against a fence in a skeleton outfit?" I'm like, "Oh, it was a Halloween thing, and he was my friend, and you know, have a good day at school. Did you get the cookies? All right, there you go."
See you later.
So now that he gets the story, he understands the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. He knows what's going on. So anyway, they're excited about the show, and they're excited. They're excited I get to leave town all the time, you know, FaceTiming all the time.
Take your personal histories out of it. I'm kind of curious, Ralph and William, you were to join a dojo. Which dojo would you join? Miyagi-Do or
Today
Cobra
or
Kai?
back then?
Today.
Today?
Yeah, today. Who you are today.
Well, if you wanna do slave labor, go over to Miyagi-Do. You know?
And if you want to experience pain, humiliation, and broken
You want a
bones,
black eye and
Cobra
maybe get
Kai.
expelled? Come on over to my dojo. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if either one of these guys have it right quite yet.
Yeah, I don't know. We're still learning. That's why we're going to keep doing the show.
That's right.
All right, we're going to turn it over to our Q&A, and we can't see it, so first person, just go ahead.
All right.
Hello. Hello, I'm Owen. I'm from DeKalb area, and as a martial artist myself, I was wondering how has martial arts sort of resonated with you guys throughout your career after the filming of Karate Kid?
Well, for me, the Eastern philosophy and the for lack of a better word, holistic standpoint of karate for mind, heart, and soul, the Miyagi-isms that were in the film is part of that I've taken with me from the film. I've used as a parent. You know, I still use you walk on left side, okay, right side safe, middle get squished like grape. You know, make a choice, follow through. I mean, these are little pieces of fortune cookie philosophy, if you will, that pertain and I think are rooted in truth. As far as from the physical aspect, yeah, I'm in much better shape when I'm doing martial arts. I get lazy because of the pain element, but I have a great respect.
I didn't know we need no karate, so from the time that I started training, I was a wrestler in high school, so I had that. But martial arts and the discipline of it and being in touch with your body, dancers get the same type of thing and athletes in general, but something about the martial art and using your body, being in touch with yourself and balancing yourself, like Ralph said, and also the confidence you get. And, it's like you have a secret weapon that's in your back pocket, and I've never had to use it in my life. So, but you walk around knowing, and it's like the nicest guys you'll ever meet are the grand masters that could tear you apart with their pinky, And there's like, so a lot of people get in a karate and think, oh, I'm gonna go and be tough and be bad. It's really that moment in the Karate Kid when he says, why am I learning why do you learn karate? And he says, so I don't have to fight. So it's not about fighting. It's about discipline. It's about being in control of yourself, and it's an amazing thing to know and to do. And I recommend it to all kids. For a couple years, do it. It's awesome. You take it with you. So from the Karate Kid till now, it's resonated in my whole life. I stopped training for a long time and got back in and out. But it's something you always have, and I'm glad I have it. So
Thank you.
Keep it up, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hello, I'm AJ. I'm from Diamond, Illinois. Both your movies, I was a kid growing up, enjoyed them. The second one was my favorite, absolutely my favorite. The only thing is the crane technique. He said, if do right, no can defense. You didn't do it right, did you?
In the second one, you didn't do it right, I guess. Yeah, listen, I didn't write the scripts. But, there's always, in any story like this, there's always that place where that if the thing that you can't defend gets beaten, then what's next? And it builds just higher stakes. And I think that was, by design, what they were going for. But I did it right once.
Oh, full gear.
We're Chris and Aiden, originally from San Diego by way of Iowa. And first question, are we going to see Dr. Allie Mills come back this season? If you can't answer that, would it help if we started a GoFundMe?
A GoFund Alley page?
You can handle that one. I mean, it's basically anybody in the Karate Kid universe from the franchise is possible.
It's whatever works well into the story and organically into the story. The writers are trying to figure those things out. As long as it projects the story forward and makes sense. But yeah, that's the most asked question right now. We shall see, but anything's possible.
Ralph Macchio, I have a question for you. Have you ever doubted your role as a hero?
Have I ever doubted my role as a hero? As Daniel LaRusso, or as me, Ralph, in life?
As you in life.
As me in life. Well, listen, we all have doubts in ourselves at certain times. I like to believe I always put my best foot forward and I'm positive, whether it be as a father, as a husband, as just a general human being and interacting with people. I don't know if that's heroic as much as being conscious of putting out positive energy and goodwill. So I do try to live my life that way. I don't succeed at all times. As far as LaRusso goes, he's the good thing about the Cobra Kai series, as these men have gone through this 35 years of wisdom, there are black and white and gray areas that they are constantly trying to be the better man, even though you may not be doing the right thing to get there. And I like that the show explores that. I know that gets a little bit deep, but it does explore that stuff. So there's my long-winded answer. Thanks, man.
Do you want me to answer that question for myself?
No, not at all. That was Ralph Macchio. I heard Ralph Macchio.
Johnny Lawrence 2020.
Just trying to keep the show going.
Good question, son.
Good job.
Hi, my name is Jesus from Moni, Illinois. My question for both of you is, what's your favorite life lesson that Mr. Miyagi taught you guys through the Karate Kid movies?
Just thinking. There were many, just thinking.
Keep your eyes up when you're beating someone up at a fence.
Cover your face, cover your face.
Yeah. Don't forget, it's not just all around you. You also have to look up. The guy jumping on top of you. That's pretty much what Miyagi taught me. Ralph?
I mean, there's so many of them. License never replays eye, ear, and brain. All these, walk left side, right side, middle gets squished like grape. I mean, there are so many of them. I guess, balance for your whole life. I mean, I think that's the ultimate lesson. If you find that is, balance in your family, in your marriage, in your diet, in how you approach any situation. I've tried to balance my career as an actor where I would keep one foot in Hollywood, but I'd live back in New York in my hometown area, and it's tougher to do that. You lose opportunities as an actor, and I lose time with my family when I'm on the other side, but if you could balance it, that's sort of worked for me, so I guess I will give the, finding balance through all areas of your life as being the Miyagi lesson to take.
And the other one was in the movie when he gives me that car for my birthday, and he taught me about friendship when I say, "You're the best friend I ever had." Remember that? And then he says, "You pretty okay." Oh, that was for you. That happened to you.
That was me.
Yeah. So definitely, that was the looking up, keep your eyes up for me.
It was definitely that one.
That was the one.
Johnny Lawrence therapy. It's awesome.
How's it going? Frankie, Southside Chicago.
Frankie from the South Side of Chicago. I just love that.
Right
Sounds
on.
like it should be a new TV show.
Maybe. When I heard the show was coming out, I'm a huge Karate Kid fan, so I can't say I wasn't nervous, and I'm sure you guys were the same. How long did it take to convince you, or was it as soon as you found that script that worked? How did that work out for you guys?
It's a good question. I mean, we're still nervous. No, it's good. We're confident right now. But yeah, it was really like, because we both heard many ideas over 3 decades plus, and none of them really excited us. These guys just had a real smart angle into the world by following Johnny Lawrence into their universe from a different perspective, as we've mentioned before. And then the 3 writers themselves, just believed that they were the super fans that wanted to make the show for you guys. And they really sold us on that. It didn't take much because they were just so passionate. And then they created the Harold and Kumar franchise and the Hot Tub Time Machine franchise, so they knew how to write for a younger generation. So all of those elements, and then the timing of it. But even then, you saw the pool, you knew you had to jump in. I had no idea what the temperature was going to be. Right. And, fortunately, we seem really intelligent because we were right. We said yes at the right time. And that's thanks to you guys embracing it as well.
Well, I just want to say you guys are killing it, and if you need a crazy cousin from Chicago, I'm ready to go.
Is it Frankie from Chicago?
Frankie from Chicago.
All right, Frankie from the South Side.
I am available and ready to go.
All right, Frankie.
Right on.
Maybe he's a friend of Cousin Louie.
Yeah, definitely.
There you go.
Yeah, friend of Cousin Louie for sure.
Hi, Ken from Toronto. Wondering if you could talk a little bit about your episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Sure.
Well, we did you talk about the Bro Mitzvah version?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I got a phone call first from my agent or manager at the time saying, How I Met Your Mother wants you to do an episode. Are you in? I said, I'm in. I don't even need to read it. Well, let me send you the script. They sent me the script. and there's a clown all the way through it, and then at the very end, there's me with one line. I said, okay. So they want me to be a clown. You're never going to see it's me. I have nothing to say. It's the safest bet ever. And then there's Ralph Macchio in there, and Barney Stinson's bagging on him the whole time. I'm like, Ralph's never going to do this.
Well, but actually, that's how so it went a little different for me. Billy said yes before reading it and realized, like
Ralph
you
said no after.
I said they sent the script, and in the early stages, it was just, I was at the bachelor party, but I said and did nothing. They were just talking about me. So I said, nah, I'm not, I need to be involved. I need to have the character involved in some way. Otherwise, it's just window dressing. I get it. But, and then my kids overheard me saying, I think he told my wife, yeah, I just passed on How I Met Your Mother. And they jump up out of the family and they're like, what? Who do you think you are, passing on How I Met Your Mother? What are you doing right now that you think you can pass on How I, because it was like their favorite show. So I got the heat from the younger generation. They said, what can we do? We'd really like to make this work. And then we had a conversation, and they did some work on the script, and and it actually worked better for the script. The more I was involved with it, the more I was a nightmare for Barney Stinson. And then it set up that William Zabka is the real Karate Kid thing that they were teeing up. Worked like gangbusters. Billy killed that last scene once he took the clown makeup off, and then he wound up sticking around. They asked him back. They sent me home. He did 12 episodes. How many? I don't know how many you did.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bunch. And then season 9. It was a lot of fun. It was unexpected.
It's great stuff, and it's really cool because we have kids that have come up and say, "Oh, I saw How I Met Your Mother," and then I rented the Karate Kid because they didn't know what it was. And some of those kids that are now into Cobra Kai. So it's interesting how those connections happen in pop culture or current media. So it's awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angie from Des Moines, Iowa. And I'm curious, is there like a catchphrase you're either sick of or you've heard way too many times? Like sweep the leg, get him a body bag, the crane, anything that you're just like...
Take a worm for a walk week.
Yeah.
That's one.
I would say you get sick of hearing it, I mean...
What's your favorite, or what do you hear all the time, I guess?
It's my favorite. Well, I love when people go, hey, get him a body bag, sweep the... when they yell it across the hotel.
Yeah, they yell it.
Or,
Like if you had a
love
basketball game. I've heard it like at a hockey game, just like section 309. I'm in section like 124.
The light comes on.
Whatever. You just hear, get him a body bag, yeah! It's just some guy up there. And it's pretty cool. And you can't get sick of it, because if they stop happening, that means the show isn't, and the film isn't relevant. And it's pretty awesome for people to be yelling stuff out from 35 years ago.
That was me at the hockey game, by the way.
Yeah, that was him.
Thank you.
I'm Brian Fewer from Jersey, like Daniel LaRusso. She actually stole my question. So my second question is, in the movie, did any of the punches or kicks like miss and you actually hurt somebody, or accidentally, of course?
William?
We had one accident at the fence fight scene, an accident, but where Ralph turned his face into my right roundhouse kick.
It was my fault.
It was 2 o'clock in the morning. We were exhausted, and it's that round kick to his face. Oh, he drops down. Will you do that for us?
Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
And
going back.
And they were moving the camera angles around, and my foot was planted in a certain way for it to stop at a certain direction. They moved the camera. I didn't plant this foot. In the heat of the moment,
it was an accident.
In the heat of the moment, I kicked him, and it was really awful. And he dropped. And
that was the end of the night.
John Avildsen said, "That's the one. Love it."
That's the one. Ralph, could you do that one more time for us?
Yeah. And then I felt terrible. I was like, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay." It was just like, "Oh, don't worry about it." Mom,
it wasn't so bad that night. Mama,
Mom, I hate it here. I hate this stupid bike.
I tried to throw him into a dumpster. I hate that Billy. I hate this stupid Billy, and I just couldn't. I wasn't strong enough to get him in the dumpster. No, it's funny. That one connected.
That was it, though. That
was it. The whole fight scene in the end. I mean, we ran that a zillion times, full blast. It was like a ballet. We were It was so well choreographed. We spent so much time rehearsing that. A credit to this Pat Johnson, like he mentioned earlier, who was the referee who trained us all. I mean, in Cobra Kai, we don't have nearly the amount of time for fight scenes because just of budget and the way the show is. So it's tougher, you know. Rehearsals, practice does make perfect. Okay, there's a reason. Yeah. So that's the answer to that question.
Thank you.
You two need a road show or something.
We're pretty good.
What's
huh?
up?
Funny?
You need a road show. You just need to hit the road like in between seasons and just tell jokes.
That's what this is all about. We said, can we do this Cobra Kai show so that we can have our actual reality show in 10 years?
Well, when we're ready to release our first song, that's going to be a great day. We're still working on it, though.
Hi, my name is Joe Blitz. I'm in South Loop, Chicago. Now, I remember seeing Karate Kid. I just moved here from the Philippines, and I got bullied. And they were like, ching chong, and I'm like, well, I'm from the Philippines. I don't know what that is. So I remember watching the movie, and I wanted to know, when you guys did the movie, did you ever think you would be this time making a difference? Because my mom said the next time that kid do that, beat the crap out of him. And I was like you, Ralph, and William. I mean, you're a great actor, but at that time, I'm like, Chuck Garris reminded me of you. And after you did the crane, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to beat this kid up. And I did.
Did you just say the name of the guy that did that to you?
Yeah.
Do you want to come up here and forgive him in front of everybody?
No, we're actually friends now. He was cool. He was, it was like
You guys friends now?
Yeah, it was fourth grade, you know.
All right, good to hear.
Yeah. So I was just wondering.
This could be your moment to say something to Chuck.
No.
It's now an Oprah special.
I was the victim.
I know you were the victim, and I understand.
I got you. So go ahead.
No, but I was just saying, did you think when you guys made the movie that you would be here? Because you guys are like legends. When they remade the movie with Jackie Chan, I loved the movie, but I was like, man, that's sacrilege. That's like redoing The Godfather. So I was just wondering how, when you guys first did it, did you think that you would be here like legends?
No. Can you imagine think 10 years from now? I mean, that's mind-blowing. To think this was that 35 years ago, I still can't believe it. It's impossible. So who could ever? This is like a dream that is just continued on like this.
I mean, it felt like we were telling a good story. I felt like Pat Morita and I had a nice chemistry. I felt like all the scenes we had and the intensity of them was building a story. No, I didn't say that. They're funny from your perspective. But to know that you're going to have an impact when the movie comes out or within 6 months or a year or two, let alone 5, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35 years, that's lightning in a bottle. And it just was, you know, the right everything at the right time. And the beauty of it with Cobra Kai, it feels like we're able to do that again and continue telling stories going forward for a new generation. And it's as good as it gets. It's pretty damn awesome. It's really terrific.
All right.
Thank you very much. I'm glad everything worked out.
That's going to do it for our panel because we do have to wrap this up. Cobra Kai Season 2 kicks off around the world on April 24th with all 10 episodes available immediately, only on YouTube Premium.